It's a crisp November morning in 2021, and the suburban streets of Gainesville, Georgia, are about to become the stage for one of the most extraordinary raids in federal history. Black SUVs roll silently through the neighborhood, their occupants dressed in tactical gear and carrying equipment that suggests they're hunting someone incredibly dangerous. But here's what makes this story so bizarre. The man they're after isn't a cartel boss or an arms dealer. He's not even someone you've probably heard of. He's a quiet college dropout who's been living with a secret so massive it defies belief. When agents finally breach the lake house, they're not searching for drugs or weapons. They're looking for something far more valuable and infinitely harder to find. Hidden somewhere in this ordinary home is the key to a fortune worth over $3 billion. Not in cash, not in gold bars, but in Bitcoin. And the man who controls it has been living as a ghost for nearly 10 years. This isn't your typical heist story. There were no explosions, no high-speed chases, no elaborate schemes involving laser grids and impossibly flexible thieves. Instead, this is the tale of how a bullied kid from Georgia discovered a glitch in the most notorious black market on the internet and walked away with enough cryptocurrency to fund a small country. What makes it even more incredible is that he almost got away with it. But let's rewind the clock and start at the beginning. Because Jimmy Jong's journey to becoming one of the most successful digital thieves in history began long before Bitcoin was even a whisper in the tech world. Growing up in Cobb County, Georgia during the 90s, Jimmy was the kind of kid who never quite fit the mold. His family had immigrated from China, and he found himself caught between two worlds that never seemed to accept him completely. At school, the differences became painfully obvious. He was overweight, awkward, and struggled to navigate the brutal social hierarchy that defines teenage life. The bullying was merciless. Jimmy would later recall being mocked relentlessly, shoved in hallways, and treated like an outsider wherever he went. One incident in particular scarred him deeply. During a football event, classmates pantsed him in front of a crowd of his peers. The explosion of laughter that followed, the humiliation of standing exposed while everyone pointed and jeered, left a wound that would shape the rest of his life. For Jimmy, the lesson was crystal clear. He would never win acceptance through conventional means. So, he stopped trying. Instead, he began retreating into a different universe entirely. A place where the rules of popularity and social status didn't matter. That universe was the emerging world of the internet. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the web was still in its Wild West phase. Dial-up connections screeched through phone lines, chat rooms buzzed with anonymous conversations, and websites looked like digital graffiti sprayed across primitive interfaces. For kids who couldn't find their place in the real world, cyberspace offered something invaluable. Complete anonymity. Jimmy discovered he had a natural talent for navigating this digital frontier. While his classmates excelled at sports or charm, he found his strength in code and curiosity. He wasn't building revolutionary new programs, but he had an uncanny ability to spot what others missed. Bugs in software, shortcuts in processes, tiny cracks in digital systems that most people would overlook completely. His bedroom transformed from a place of refuge into a command center. The glow of his monitor became a gateway where he could be anyone or no one at all. For a teenager who felt invisible in real life, anonymity wasn't a limitation. It was liberation. Yet beneath this digital prowess lurked a deeper hunger. Jimmy still craved the recognition and validation that had been denied to him throughout his childhood. He wanted to belong, but only on his own terms. This contradiction between the desire for anonymity and the need for acknowledgement would eventually become the driving force behind every major decision in his life. When Jimmy enrolled at the University of Georgia in Athens, he brought both sides of this internal conflict with him. Athens was everything Jimmy had imagined college could be. A sprawling campus alive with possibility, packed with students who seemed to glide effortlessly between classes and parties. The town pulsed with energy, from football weekends that transformed the entire city into a sea of red and black, to late-night adventures that spilled from dormitories into downtown bars. For most students, it was simply the next chapter of their lives. For Jimmy, it represented something far more significant. A chance to reinvent himself completely. But his transformation wouldn't come through joining a fraternity or excelling in academics. Instead, it would emerge from his discovery of something that most people at the time dismissed as nothing more than internet funny money. In the early 2010s, Bitcoin was still relegated to obscure forums and libertarian chat rooms. Each coin was worth less than the price of a pizza, and mainstream media treated it like a curious experiment that would probably disappear within a few years. Jimmy saw something different when he first encountered this digital currency. Here was money that operated according to pure mathematical rules, immune to the whims of bullies, teachers, or governments. It wasn't about social status or physical appearance. It was about understanding code and recognizing patterns. For someone who had spent years feeling powerless, Bitcoin represented the ultimate form of control. He dove headfirst into learning everything he could about how the system functioned. He studied wallet mechanics, transaction protocols, and the intricate dance of cryptographic signatures that made the whole ecosystem possible. The same instincts that had once helped him navigate playground politics now allowed him to spot vulnerabilities in digital architectures. As his knowledge deepened, Jimmy began exploring the darker corners of the internet. Beyond the surface web that most people knew lay a hidden realm accessible only through specialized software. This was the domain of the Tor network, where anonymity wasn't just preferred, but absolutely essential. And at the heart of this shadow internet sat a marketplace that would soon become legendary for all the wrong reasons. Silk Road looked deceptively ordinary at first glance. Its interface resembled any standard e-commerce site, complete with product listings, user reviews, and a shopping cart system. But a closer examination revealed that this wasn't Amazon or eBay. The merchandise included everything from high-grade narcotics to forged documents to sophisticated hacking tools. It was essentially a digital bazaar where anything illegal could be bought and sold with remarkable ease. The site's founder operated under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts, a reference that perfectly captured the romantic outlaw image he cultivated. Behind the alias was Ross Ulbricht, a young libertarian who genuinely believed he was creating something revolutionary. In his mind, Silk Road wasn't just a criminal enterprise, but a bold experiment in free market capitalism, untainted by government interference or corporate manipulation. What Jimmy discovered wasn't a dramatic hack in the Hollywood sense, but something far more dangerous, a flaw in Silk Road's withdrawal system. At the time, the marketplace allowed users to make deposits and withdrawals using Bitcoin, but its backend failed to properly synchronize multiple transactions happening at once. Jimmy realized that by rapidly initiating withdrawals from several Silk Road accounts he controlled, all funded by the same initial deposit, he could trick the system into approving each withdrawal before it registered the others. In a matter of seconds, the same Bitcoin was being paid out multiple times. Over the course of months, he repeated the process quietly, siphoning off tens of thousands of coins without triggering alarms. No brute force, no malware, just patience, timing, and an understanding of how a rushed piece of code could be bent until it broke. For nearly a decade, Jimmy Jong lived untouched by the consequences of his discovery. The Bitcoin he took from Silk Road sat untouched as its value quietly exploded. No lavish lifestyle exposed him. His fortune stayed hidden in a simple popcorn tin, while the system he outsmarted forgot he existed. But Bitcoin was never built to forget. As blockchain analysis improved, the trail he believed was invisible slowly reappeared. And on a quiet November morning in 2021, federal agents closed the loop on a single choice made years earlier. Jimmy Jong didn't steal billions with force. He did it by understanding how systems fail and learning too late that time always catches up